Tomodachi Game. Chapter 22. The lie inside the room. The light above Reiji flickered, not enough to bother most people. But Yuuichi noticed. He always noticed. The boy had barely moved in hours, curled up on the floor with a blanket pulled up to his chin, breathing slow, steady, too steady. No nightmares, no whispers, no shaking. Yuuichi sat alone in the kitchen, arms folded, just watching. No one had touched the tea Reiji left half drunk. His bandages were stained, but not spreading. Not a single twitch in his sleep. That wasn't how people looked after escaping death. And deep down, Yuuichi knew. This boy didn't run from danger. He was the danger. Earlier that day, Tenji had slipped a tiny thread under the edge of Reiji's door, just long enough to tell if it moved. A basic trap, the kind of trick they use in spy novels. It hadn't moved all night, which meant one thing. Reiji hadn't gone to the bathroom. Not once. No one sleeps that soundly, not after what he claimed to have seen. Yuuichi gathered the group, not all at once, quietly, one by one, in the hallway, behind closed doors. They needed to test him, but not with questions. Anyone can lie with words, Yuuichi said, but your body betrays you, your choices, your instinct. He paused, his voice turning low and razor sharp. It showed coordinates, a fake message, a supposed safe zone for defected players. If he's working with another group, he'll pass it on. He has to. He won't leave this place. Even laughed at his jokes. It was all a mask. We'll find out what he's hiding. And if he is a plant from another team, the setup they gave Reiji the perfect bait. A fake committee transmission, expertly edited by K and projected on the small terminal screen. K smirked as the plan was laid out. Yuuichi nodded, and then we follow. They handed Reiji food, offered warmth. By nightfall, they knew he'd taken the bait. The betrayal begins. At 2:43 a.m., Reiji slipped from his bed, silent, careful, but not careful enough. Yuuichi was already outside, watching the location Reiji had sent that harmless text from. Shio watched from the shadows. Tenji tracked him from the other hallway. And Yuuichi, he'd made the call to someone. Who? That was the question Yuuichi needed to answer. What Reiji didn't know. K had intercepted the signal before it even left the building. The voice on the other end, masked, digitized. Did they believe you? Reiji whispered. Yes, they're sleeping. They trust me now. A long silence. Reiji walked in, stretching like nothing was wrong. Like he tried to stab them in the back while they slept. Then the real game begins tomorrow. Yuuichi heard it all. He didn't flinch, didn't speak, just smiled. Because now he had confirmation. The confrontation at sunrise. The team gathered in the main room. Yuuichi stood near the door, calm as still, but his eyes were cold steel. Reiji, he said. We know. The boy froze. What do you mean? Yuuichi stepped forward. You made contact. We intercepted it. We heard every word. Reiji's face paled. He looked to Shiho, Makoto, Tenji, even Yutori. No one moved to help him. You don't understand, he shouted. They threatened me. I didn't have a choice. Kei scoffed. Always the excuse. Just like the players who cracked in Game 2, Reiji fell to his knees. Please. I didn't mean to hurt anyone. But Yuuichi leaned down slowly and whispered, You already did. Then he turned to the others. We let him live for now, but from this point on, he's not one of us. He's bait. The plan evolves with Reiji exposed. A new opportunity emerged. K, always one step ahead, grinned. We feed him false intel. Let him leak it again. Let them come. Tenji caught on fast. And when they show up, we trap them, Yuuichi said. All of them. Makoto hesitated. What if they bring guns? Or worse, Yuuichi didn't blink. Then we stop playing nice. In the shadows. Their leader, a tall girl with razor-sharp eyes, smirked, far from the bunker, in a dim, concrete bunker. A rival team received Reiji's transmission. Katajiri's crew took the bait. She looked at her team, 5 strong, all survivors. None of them strangers to betrayal. Tomorrow, we make our move. But what she didn't know, what none of them knew, was that Yuuichi Katajiri had never been outsmarted. He was already to moves ahead. In Chapter 23, the trap is set, and blood will be spilled. End of Chapter 22. The enemy has taken the bait. But in a world of lies and manipulation, the truth might be the most dangerous weapon of all. Tomodachi Game, Chapter 23. The trap is set. The ground was wet, leaves slick with dew, and the sky above hung gray like a hell breath. The air was thick not just with fog, but with tension, the kind that sinks into your chest and won't let go. The morning mist hadn't cleared yet when Yuuichi stepped outside. Today was the day. Scouts. Then the rest. Reiji had taken the bait. Their enemy had swallowed the lie whole. And now they were coming. But Yuuichi wasn't afraid. Not a toy anymore, not with sharpened nails wrapped in cloth. His hands trembled slightly, but his eyes stayed fixed. Because fear, that was a luxury. And in this game, luxuries got you killed. She hadn't said much since Reiji's betrayal, but even she knew this wasn't about emotions anymore. Inside the hideout, they weren't fighters, but they had each been broken by this game in their own way. And now, back against the wall, eyes cast down. He hadn't been tied up, but he might as well have been. The others didn't look at him, didn't speak to him. Not anymore. They were ready to break someone back. Kay stood by the window, watching the tree line through binoculars. His movements were precise, controlled, like a machine built for war. He didn't smile. Not today. Today wasn't about manipulation, it was about strategy. Calm before they'll arrive before noon. He said calmly, his voice like a scalpel, to at first. Yuuichi nodded, not breaking his focus as he adjusted a crude-looking tripwire near the hallway. Makoto loaded a small slingshot, the fifth, silent, short, and hooded, his role still a mystery. Yutori sat silently in the corner, clutching her hands tightly. It was about survival. Shio and Tenji moved together in the back room, setting traps, rigging doors, coordinating signals. Their leader, a tall girl with short white hair and a black band tied across her left arm, stepped forward first. Reiji sat on the floor. He had made his choice. Yuuichi passed him once without a word, but before walking away, he dropped one sentence. If you scream when they show up, you die first. And that was all it took. Outside the forest line, a group of 5 emerged dressed in mismatched jackets, makeshift armor, and sharp, calculating stares. Visual confirmed. They're in the house, she said into her calm. Behind her, 2 boys armed with batons flanked her sides. One girl carried a flare gun. But what they didn't know was that the ground beneath their feet had already been marked. Their path predicted, their reactions accounted for. Yuuichi had turned their ambush into a test. The first move as the first scout crept toward the back entrance. A tripwire caught his foot. Snap. The rope yanked up, pulling his leg and slamming him into a row of metal trash bins. A loud crash rang out through the clearing. Inside the hideout, Kay smirked. One down. The enemy scrambled. The girl in charge barked orders. Fall back. Flank left. Stay alert. But it was already too late. The moment she gave the order, the second scout turned the corner only to be blinded by a flash grenade, crafted from crushed phosphorus strips and a flashlight battery, rigged by Kay himself. He dropped to the ground, screaming. Inside the bunker, Yuuichi moved like a ghost, sliding into position behind the stairwell, waiting. Makoto was upstairs, ready to drop a shelf as soon as someone burst through the window. Tenji held his breath behind the curtain, one hand clutching a rope that triggered a knockdown barrier. Shio whispered, "They're splitting up. That's what we wanted." Yuuichi smiled without joy. To break them apart. The infiltration, she was fast, trained, but her confidence was her weakness. The girl with white hair Rika slipped in through the side window with the hooded boy beside her. The exact hallway Kay had laced with powdered dye and oil on the floorboards. They entered through a quiet hallway. The hooded boy tried to catch her, but that's when Yuuichi appeared. As soon as she took 3 steps, crash. Not charging, Her boots slid out from under her. She hit the floor hard, not running, just walking. Slow. Measured. Like death itself had arrived. "Nice of you to stop by," he said, voice calm, almost polite. Reika reached for her baton, but before she could stand, Tenji lunged from the side door, slamming it shut behind her. Now it was 3-on-2, but only one side had a plan. The psychological play. Yuuichi didn't hit her. He didn't even raise his voice. He just spoke softly. "How much do you trust the ones you came with?" Reika spat at him. "More than they trust you." Yuuichi nodded slowly. Then he turned to Reiji, who had been dragged into the hallway. "Tell her what your team promised you." Reiji hesitated, then whispered, "They said they'd kill her first and leave her body to send a message." Silence. Reika's face cracked. Yuuichi didn't flinch. "You see, you came in with a team. I came in with a purpose." The turnkey radioed in. "Final scout is down. To detained. One unconscious." Yuuichi exhaled slowly. The trap had worked. Not just physically, but emotionally. Their enemies were fractured. Scared. Their leader doubted her allies. Their plan in ruins. But this wasn't about winning. Not yet. It was about sending a message. The aftermath. Yuuichi looked down at the wounded invaders and said, calmly, "A new invitation arrives. But this one, it isn't just a game. It's personal. Go back to whoever sent you. Tell them this isn't their game anymore." He leaned in close, voice like ice. "Tell them it's mine." Then he turned his back and walked away. End of chapter 23. The trap has been sprung. The enemies are shaken, and the next stage looms closer than ever. In chapter 24, Tomodachi Game. Chapter 24. The invitation to madness. The fog had finally lifted, but the silence it left behind was heavier than before. Birds didn't chirp. The wind didn't rustle. He knew it. Even the air felt like it was holding its breath. After the ambush, after the traps, after the fear and fighting, something in the atmosphere had shifted. The others could feel it, but Yuuichi, because today wasn't just another test. It was the beginning of something darker. Tenji wrapped a sprained wrist, and Shio quietly packed away the medical supplies without being asked. No one spoke much, not because they didn't have anything to say, but because they were still processing everything that had happened. Inside that he didn't have to. Hideout. The team was battered, enveloped but intact. Makoto nursed a bruised shoulder. They had won the fight, but it didn't feel like a victory. Even Kei, normally cold and unbothered, something colder, looked uneasy. They came too easily. No stamp, no address. Transportation will arrive at 0700. Resistance will be punished. Just 3 words in bold black ink across the front. He muttered, "To confident, to expendable." Yuuichi glanced at him from across the room. "You think they were bait?" Kei didn't answer, because an envelope had arrived delivered by hand. "You are invited." The pulling out a folder he'd hidden. Since the beginning, Shio clutched a photo in her pocket, one no one else had seen. Tenji scribbled notes furiously, mapping every psychological move from the last 2 weeks. No one wanted to open it. It sat on the table like a curse. But Yuuichi stepped forward, tore it open, and pulled out a single sheet of paper. His eyes scanned the message. The edges of his mouth twitched, not into a smile, but something close. No details. So this was just the warm-up, just that one mark. He read aloud. He admitted, "I knew this would happen. The invitation. The transition to the main facility. I've seen it before. I was meant to go last year. I ran." On the back was a map. "Truth comes out to the survivors of the preliminary rounds. You are hereby summoned to the main game facility." Then he flipped the page. A red X circled in the mountains. No roads. Tenji exhaled. The K stepped forward. "I didn't tell you everything." Yuuichi didn't flinch. "Why run now?" K looked him dead in the eyes. "Because the games there don't test your mind. They test your soul." Everyone went quiet, even Reiji, still recovering from the night before, sat up straight. "What's that supposed to mean?" Kei's voice turned low, like someone remembering a nightmare that never really ended. "It means everything we've been through, the betrayal, the lies, the manipulation. That's just the entry fee. One final night with only hours left before departure. The team sat together for one last meal in silence. Yutori picked at her food. Makoto stared into space. But Yuuichi, he just sat there, completely still, thinking, calculating, plotting. And then, for the first time that night, he spoke. We're not going there to survive. Everyone looked at him. We're going there to take control of the entire game. Dawn arrives, the black van pulled up exactly on time. Its windows were tinted, its engine silent. Its driver wore no badge, said no words, just opened the door and waited. One by one, they stepped inside. No bags, no phones, just the clothes on their backs and the weight of every decision they had made to get here. Yuuichi stepped in last. The bonds they'd shattered. As the door closed behind him, he glanced back at the hideout for the final time. The battlefield they'd survived, the lies they'd exposed, and then he smiled. Just barely. Let's begin the real game. Inside the van, the ride was long. No one spoke. Outside the windows, trees blurred into nothingness. Mountains loomed in the distance like silent judges. And then, finally, the van stopped. The doors opened. Cameras watched from every corner. Guards stood in silence. The walls were high, and the only gate was already closing behind them. And the sight that greeted them was nothing short of terrifying. A massive structure, half fortress, half prison, built into the side of the mountain. A voice rang out from a hidden speaker. Welcome to the core of the Tomodachi game. Nothing could prepare them for what's coming next. In Chapter 25, the rules change. And so does the cost of betrayal. End of Chapter 24, the invitation has been accepted. The real arena waits, but nothing